Hi friends, it's Grace here, ready to fulfill a promise that I made about recording a story of how Lee and I met, and also I'll record another one soon of how I came alongside him as he endured pain. Excuse me, and also a lot of things that he was going through. It wasn't only pain. Today I'll share my favorite love story of how I met him. And thank you for wanting to hear about it. I'm glad to share, more than honored to share my story. It's amazing. I love it. And I smile when I'm telling it. It makes me so happy. I even forget that I have a broken heart from losing him. um, so it's gonna come as a shock to most people, or a few people who we are connected with here on Facebook, of which I'm gonna post this video on YouTube, but we're friends on Facebook because of the circumstances in which I met Lee. So I went to work one morning. I was working at Hog Hospital, and the patients that I got, they were in the teens. Those are like we used to call the teens. The rooms, I think, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Then, at the time, they used to probably have the hardest patients on that side, so no one wanted to be there. But this day, it was my day, and I hit them. And of course, I was like, oh, I have the teens today. It's going to be a hard day. And just FYI, I have my son on the monitor. I hope he's still asleep till I'm done. Anyway, so I went to work, and when they gave me that side, I didn't like it, but I had to do it. I had no choice. And the first thing we do is do vitals. You get to work at 7 o'clock and do your vitals. So it was around like 7:30, 7:45 that I was doing the vitals. And I came to Lee's room. I was mad when I went to Lee's room because someone had just taken my chair. I had a chair that was high because I'm tall and I have long legs, and I want a chair that can go up so I don't have to, struggle with my long legs. And just I saw someone sitting on it, and I'm like, that's my chair. Why would you do that? And I won't confront you for it because that's Grace. I suffered silently, but I was not happy. Like, why would you do that? So I went to Lee's room, and he was sleeping, so I still had, I was in my mind just thinking about it. And I was grabbing the gloves from the wall, and when I looked over at him, he was looking at me. And I was like, oops, good morning, Timothy. Like, I wasn't mad, so I'm like, hey, I'm happy, it's a good day. And I took care of him all day for 12 and a half hours. So up to 7:30 p.m., I was with him. And I think probably 6 more patients besides him. And I took his vitals, and I didn't think anything, not at all. He was a good looking guy anyway, but I didn't think anything at all. And all day, he asked me so many questions about my life, about Kenya, where I come from, my life there, and how I came here, and how life has been for me here. It was a lot of questions about everything about me, and I thought to myself, this guy might ask me for my number, and I gotta know what kind of a man he is before he does, so I can know if I'll give it to him or not. And so I went to his chat on my computer because he was my patient. I can access some of his personal information, and I checked why he was there. And he was there because of an infection in his hardware in his spine, and he came in septic, and it said he had chronic pain. I knew chronic means that you can heal that, it's there for life. And I was like, chronic pain, really? There's nothing that can be done. And then I saw that he was 35 years of age, yes. And then I saw on his relationship status that he was divorced. And I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ, this is in the list of my non-negotiables for my future partner. How in the world does that even happen? And then I went on And on his religion, he didn't have any. It was none. And I'm like, oh my God, he has no religion. I want someone who is spiritual, who loves Jesus. Not spiritual, but someone who loves Jesus. And he doesn't. Oh, maybe he does. He just doesn't do religion. I didn't think that way. I was like, he doesn't have a religion. This is not good. So he literally ticked all the wrong boxes in my list. And I always joke with his parents and I keep telling them, your son ticked all the wrong boxes and somehow I still married him. It's because I had peace. Anyway, I went to his Facebook to see what I can find. I looked him up with his name. Luckily, he was using his name, so I was able to find him. And I saw his beautiful daughter, and she just won my heart. She's just so adorable. And that's the only thing that I found on his social media. I didn't find anything else. But I saw he had some posts on about when he was in the hospital many times, so I knew he pretty much goes to the hospital a lot. And I was there. He's divorced. It's not on my list. He's has no religion, and he has a baby. And he had a problem with the baby, but it's not something I had thought of anyway. So later on in the day, in the afternoon, Lee told me, "Hey, Grace, before you go home, I would like you to meet my mom. She'll be coming to see me later today. Before you go, just come by. I would like her to meet you." I was like, I can do that. I do that all the time. Meeting people's families, and they're like, "Oh, my so-and-so is coming. You wanna come and say hi?" Yeah, I'm like, yeah. So I did go to see him before I left, and I met his mom. She was beautiful, lovely, adorable. You know, she's beautiful inside out. She was so sweet. And I just looked at her, because we gave Lee as bed bath together, me and her, and the nurse in charge. And I won't mention her name, but if she happens to see this, because she's my friend here on Facebook, she'll probably maybe recognize the day that I met him, because she doesn't know. And as we were doing that with his mom, I was like, oh my God, because she was talking about how Lee has suffered and been in the hospital a lot. And I'm like, you're such a good mom to take care of your son like this. I just love it. I just loved it. I didn't say it, but I just was like, wow, she must be a strong woman. But I was quiet. I was really quiet in that whole session. And the nurse was like talking about how they were like, Liz mom, they were like, how have a beautiful heart and sweet. And the nurse was like, yes, she is. Luckily, the nurse is my friend. We got along really well. And she was like, yeah, she changes her hair all the time. And I was just quiet. But anyway, when I met his mom, he had talked to his mom about asking me for my contact information. And so he went on and told me, hey, he said, he was so like bold. He was like, hey, Grace, I would like to have your email address and I can check up on you once in a while, after I leave the hospital. And his mom was like, wow, Lee, that's a little bold. And Lee looked at his mom. I don't know what he said, but I saw they wanted to talk. And because I wasn't sure what I was going to do, I told the mom, hey, what do you think? Because it was about like if it's the right thing to do, he's my patient and all that. So I asked her, what do you think? And then they started talking, conversing with each other, and I'm here listening. I was like this, listening and thinking about what I'm gonna do. And when they were done, I was like, at the end of the day, it's my choice to make. I'm willing to risk my job if, whatever happens. I don't know how all this happened, my goodness. But I was willing to risk my job for a stranger. Anyway, I grabbed the paper towel, wrote my email, because I was like, who in this day and age asks for email? Who does that? You want to get to know me? You ask for my email? How is that even going to happen? And I thought maybe he's just going to be checking on me once in 3 months and fine. Or maybe he won't even reach out to me at all. And so I gave it to him. I didn't think he would reach out to me. And I left. I didn't say anything. I went home and I was off the next day. And he was going to have surgery the next day to take off the hardware that was infected in his back, and then be on antibiotics for like 6 weeks, and then go back for another surgery to put another hardware back in. He was in a bad place. He was septic. horrible pain, debilitating. He couldn't even walk. But he somehow saw me. He says he doesn't know how he did that in that kind of pain. He tends to not even notice anything or anyone, and he just so absorbed, but somehow he didn't miss me. So I went home. I don't think I was off for one day, and I came back and I went to check on him, and he told me, wow, I didn't think you would want to see me again. I thought you would be mad at me, or you wouldn't want to see me. And I was like, why would I not want to see you again? He said, oh, have you seen my email? I'm like, oh, did you send one? I haven't seen it. He's like, oh yeah, that's why you're here. So you look so fine. You don't like, it's like nothing happened. I'm like, okay, I didn't see it. I'm gonna check when I go home tonight. So I just hit and I left. I didn't see him again. So when I went home, I checked my email, and I sure did see his email. And I was getting ready to go to sleep. I was actually in bed, and I thought it's an email which was like, hi, how are you? You know, something short. Oh, I opened the email. He attached a PDF letter. It was 3 pages long. I was like, I can read this tonight. How am I supposed to read this whole thing? I need to go to sleep because I wake up, I need to go to work. So I thought I won't read it. I didn't have time for it. I was going to postpone it for the next day. But I was like, oh, let me read the first paragraph. And I couldn't stop. And I was just stopping to cry and clean my ears with my Kleenex. And because I couldn't believe what was on there. I couldn't believe like every single thing that I ever prayed for was right here on this letter being offered to me by this good guy that I just met in a hospital bed. Wow. Now I understood why he said he thought I would not want to see him again. I replied to him. In the letter, I was going to show you actually before I keep going. It's right here. I don't know if you can see. I don't know, it's upside down, really. Maybe I put it like this, sure. Huh? What? Well, I'll do it this way. You may not be able to read because I can't tell this thing, but I'm gonna show you. He wrote this, and he's like, he attached a PDF right here for me, and we click on it, and that's it. It's 3 pages long, well written and punctuated, and it was a beautiful letter when I read it. Everything that I have now, including my son Amari, is something that Lee mentioned in that letter. He asked me if, let me see if I can find that. He said, God has had his hand on me and has been making inside me a new man where my story is meant to combine and thrive with one just like you, to adventure, to love, to be there amidst heartache and pain, to endure alongside one another, where I could take care of you by bringing all the love the good Lord has placed inside me for someone just as you. Forgive me for being so forward. It's too much. I apologize. So he said, so I ask you if you would be so kind as to let me, maybe once I get better, to take you out on a date for a cup of coffee or over a dinner and just learn more about you and trust to see where things might go from here. And he's also said, I'm just jumping, just giving you something. And he said, and so I ask, would this be something you might be willing to take a step of faith in and to try by just giving me a chance to get to know you and share with you one day soon? I never believed in love at first sight until I met you, here at the hospital and in my condition of all places. So that's just a few sentences I jumped to pick up, but it's a whole long letter. And he wanted me to consider him after he gets better. Can I be honest with you and tell you, if I waited for Lee to be better, to take me out on a date, it would never have happened. being better was not part of God's plan for him. And I hate to hear the siren, because when they came for my husband, and never brought him back to me, and now it's like big PTSD when I hear them. My birthday was in 2 weeks after that, and I got to see him. I came all the way down to Dana Point. It was like 45 minutes drive to see him. And although I had told him to give me time to think about it, and so when I came to see him, he had just been discharged that same week. But you know what? I came to see him so late that day because he was septic again. His temperature was running at 106. He was supposed to be in the hospital. He didn't want to go because someone special in his life was having a birthday that day, and he didn't want to miss it. And he had asked his sister Lindsay to make me I think it was pumpkin cake, and she made me. She had not even met me. And his dad, who I met the next day, I met Lee for 2 days. When I went back to see him, I met within the first 1 week. I had met his dad on FaceTime, and I met his daughter on FaceTime. Can you imagine that? He was like, "Hey Ray, that's his daughter. She's so cute." And he said, "There's someone I want you to meet. Her name is Grace." I was at the hospital, and he's the second time he's seen me. And I met his dad the second time that I saw Lee, which was 2 days after I first met him. But his dad made me Mexican rice. And when I came, Lee was standing somewhere right there. I can show you because it's a little messy. And he was with his walker, yes. And he was bending because there's a surgeon who had messed up his back and gave him a flat spine, and so now he couldn't stand up straight, so he was like bending. He was standing right there, and that's the first time I saw Lee standing. I didn't even know that he could walk when I said yes to him. I just loved him. So that's the first time I saw him standing and walking. And he gave me a gift. He gave me a card that I left upstairs, a small card with a bird, and he wrote the two sides full. And he also bought me Ted Hose socks, or compression socks, I'll call them, for work. I still have them. How thoughtful. He thought, she walks all day, she needs that. That's my first pair and my last. I've never gotten myself one, and I still have them. It was really, really thoughtful of Lee. And the rest was history, because I married Lee 2 months after I met him. I used to drive down here to see him a lot. We were so inseparable. I didn't want to be away from him at all, neither did he. Remember, he told me, "You are like home to me. You've become like home to me so quickly. If you're not here with me, I'm not anywhere close to home if I wasn't with him." And we were so inseparable. And when he would get sick he was always in the hospital. I took him to the ER like every month because he was septic, and I got tired of driving down here and worrying how he's doing, because whenever he told me he wasn't feeling okay, he might go to the ER, and I'm so far away, I'd feel like, gosh, I'm gonna run crazy. And I was like, oh my God, I can't do this. So I got married to him 2 months after I met him. And how we got married, we didn't do a big wedding. We didn't even do anything special to everybody. We did something special to us. And we went to 1,000 Steps. It's down here, I think, in Mission Viejo, I think, or Viejo, whatever you say. I just call it that way. We went to the beach one day. We bought our silicone rings because Lee was not working at the time. He was a software engineer, but with his health, he wasn't able to work for the last 6 months, I get. And he bought candles. It was a surprise. He got some candles. I knew we were gonna go get married, so we had the rings. But he went and bought candles and I think parachutes. And we went and sat on a rock somewhere at the beach in the middle of the ocean, sort of. Not the middle, but a little in the ocean a little bit. And we took our vows. And he said that we're going to light up the candles. There were 3 of them. One is for me, one is for him, one is for God. And we're going to fly some parachutes, which didn't even work. But our candles did. It was Lee plus Grace with God until he passed away. and we lit up the candles and then blew them out. He said there was a reason for doing that, like blowing all of them out. I don't remember what it was. And then we went across 1,000 steps, like right there. There's a restaurant or a place called the Ranch. They usually have live music. We went there and had pizza, and then we went home. And his dad asked me the other day. It's funny. He asked me, "Hey Grace, how when you and Lee got married, where were we?" I'm like, "I don't know, Dad. Where were you?" Because I don't think they knew about it. It wasn't a big deal. And we were together for 10 months after that. But Lee was so much like home to me. I just wanted to be with him. If I went somewhere, and I never left him behind. I left him 2 times in those 10 months. And we used to go together everywhere. Most of the times I took him for his doctor's appointments. Like every time I was off, he either had to see his pain management doctor, or he had to see his surgeon, or he had to see a doctor down in LA for ketamine infusion, or he had to see a doctor in Newport for dry needling. Yeah, that was our life. And it was beautiful. It was hard to see him suffer like that, which is a story for another day. I'll give you the details of even how I decided that's the kind of life I wanted for myself. But meeting Lee, him loving me at first sight and giving me so much love. For example, I'll tell you, this is gonna be too much for some people to even think it's possible. But Lee would wait for me in the garage, and I love to share this. This should be a separate video, but I'll share it anyways. Let me see how my baby is doing. He's still sleeping, but Lee would wait for me in the garage every time I came home from work. I never drove into that garage and he wasn't there sitting on a ball with Charlie. We all on the machine washer waiting for me, because we used to share locations, so he would know how far I am, and he'll see me exit the freeway, and he'll be there waiting for me with a glass of wine. And he would give me a hug and a kiss, and he will give me my glass of wine, and then he'll get my luggage. He'll get my bag and my lunch pack, and he'll be like, love, go upstairs and freshen up, and I'm gonna bring you dinner. And I'll just go upstairs and take a shower with my wine, and he'll clean up my lunch pack and put everything away and warm dinner and bring it up to me upstairs, and he would give me a hot cup of milk, which I loved, like 2 minutes. They always make fun of me like that here. And we'll eat as we watch a movie, if I'm not working the next day, and then he will tell me to stay in bed, and he'll bring everything down here and put everything away and clean up, and he'll be up with me shortly. If I was working the next day, he will do all that, and then he'll rub my feet. He was so good at that. He'll rub my feet until I fall asleep. He put toothpaste on my toothbrush every time, until I learned how to do it too. If I went to brush my teeth and he had not brushed his yet, I would put toothpaste on his. And now I put toothpaste for myself, and it's kind of really hard. Lee, he would clean the kitchen, the sink, and clean everything. And because I'm African woman, I would try to help him, offer help. And one day he got really mad. He's like, Grace, if I say you sit down and I gotta do this, I mean it. And he will have me sit here and he'll clean. And he was in a lot of pain. And I later found out after he died on a video that he made with a friend of his called James that he used to talk to, like counseling and stuff. He said, I want to make dinner for Grace when she gets home from work. But my pain was so much I couldn't even walk. But I had to do it because that's how I want to show up in her life. And I thought, like, you didn't have to do that, but that's how he wanted to show up in my life. I would be like, hey love, can you bring me a pair of socks from upstairs when you come down? He's like, on it, and he'll come and he will kneel down and give me put myself on my feet, not because I asked him to, but because he wanted to do it. You know, he would warm food for me. He didn't let me do anything. I'll sit right there. I want to go on my foot. He's like, no, no, I got it, love, I got it. And he'll go warm it for me. And if I insisted on doing it, he would really get mad at me. And so I'm so spoiled. He gave me love that would last me a lifetime. It was a short time together, and I do not know why. The good ones always go. You know, I mean, it's a beautiful story that I don't want to ruin. But for those who do not know, that's how I met my husband Lee, and he's in heaven now, and I can't wait to see him again one day. I know I will. I hope I didn't leave anything behind. And he gave me this when we met. It's a whistle that helps with breathing, like yoga. You breathe in and use this to breathe out, and it slows the breathing up. This slows the breathing, and I've had it since he gave it to me. He always wanted me to have it. I have his ring right here, and I'm gonna pass this on to Amari when he's older. I love you all. I'll make another video about our life together and his suffering and how I came to make up my mind that that's what I wanted. Have a beautiful day and a beautiful night wherever you are, and may God bless you, and may God give you love like he gave me if you haven't found it. It is possible.